In 2025, Kurt Russell sleeps on winery couches and flies old planes at sunrise. He turned down many movie roles to focus on other things, like his wine business, car collection, and even some private political meetings. But most of his money comes from places outside of Hollywood. His net worth just reached $110 million, and how he made it might surprise you. Kurt Russell was born on March 17, 1951, in Springfield, Massachusetts, during one of the worst snowstorms in years. It was 15 degrees and snow piled up to 28 inches. Roads were closed. His parents, actor Bing Russell and dancer Louise Julia Russell, were stuck in the hospital for 3 extra days. During that time, Bing got a telegram offering him a role in California. 6 weeks later, the family moved to Hollywood. If not for that storm, things could have turned out very differently. Kurt may never have become a star. Before acting, baseball was the family passion. Bing Russell wasn't just an actor. He signed with the New York Yankees minor league team in 1948, earning $400 a month, about $4,800 today. He played until a shoulder injury in 1949 ended his career. Then he became an actor, but stayed close to baseball. In 1973, he bought the Portland Mavericks, an independent team full of old players, college dropouts, and even actors. Their motto, baseball for the fun of it. Young Kurt spent summers with the team and learned about freedom and toughness. By high school, he was batting .563 and getting offers to play college baseball. At just 9 years old, Kurt auditioned for a film called Safe at Home, starring his heroes Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris. He knew all their stats, a .298 average, 536 home runs, the 1956 Triple Crown. It was 95 degrees in the San Fernando Valley, and he gave it his best. But casting directors thought he looked too confident, like a real player. They wanted a more innocent-looking kid. He lost the role to someone named Brian Russell, no relation, who gave a dull performance. The film flopped, but a Disney scout named Bill Walsh was in the room and saw something special in Kurt. That rejection led to Kurt's future with Disney. Kurt got his first movie role 3 years later at the 1963 World's Fair. He had to kick Elvis Presley in the shin. He was 11 years old, just 4'8" inches and 78 pounds. Elvis, already a star, insisted on 17 takes in the cold Seattle weather. On one of those takes, Kurt kicked hard. Elvis laughed, and the director kept that tape. Kurt earned $250 that day, about $2,400 today. The crew liked him, so did Walt Disney. In 1963, Walt Disney saw Kurt on film and noticed he ad-libbed a line that wasn't in the script, and it worked. Disney was impressed and told his team to find the kid who kicked Elvis. On Valentine's Day, 1964, Kurt signed a 10-year Disney contract worth $1.75 million, almost $17.5 million today. It was one of the biggest youth contracts in Disney history. By age 15, Kurt had already starred in Follow Me, Boys, and was on track to become Disney's top actor in the 1970s. Walt Disney once called him a 15-year-old boy for whom I predict a great acting future. That was Walt's last filmed appearance before he died in December 1966. Disney Studios pushed Kurt's career forward with hit movies like The Computer Wore Tennis Shoes, Now You See Him, Now You Don't, and The Strongest Man in the World. These movies made money and fans loved them. In 1971, The Barefoot Executive came out on Kurt's 20th birthday. He played a mailroom worker who finds out a chimpanzee can predict TV ratings. It sounded silly, but became a surprise hit. The movie featured Harry Morgan, Joe Flynn, and a young John Ritter. It was shot in Long Beach and on Disney's studio lot. Disney aired it for years, and it proved Kurt could lead a movie. Kurt met Goldie Hawn in 1966 on the set of The One and Only, Genuine Original Family Band. She was 21, he was just 16. Goldie thought he was cute, but too young, and they barely spoke. Both had said they wouldn't date other actors. But 17 years later, in 1983, they met again while auditioning for Swing Shift. Kurt showed up hungover and said, "Man, you've got a great figure." Instead of getting mad, Goldie laughed. They started dating, they never married, but they've been together over 40 years. Their son, Wyatt Russell, was born in 1986. In 1970, Kurt narrated a Disney TV special called Disneyland Showtime. It aired 5 days after his 19th birthday. The show introduced the Haunted Mansion ride and featured the Osmond brothers. Donny Osmond got lost, and Kurt helped him and the audience explore the park. They sang songs, rode rides, and brought Disney magic into homes. The show got a 9.1 rating on IMDb and helped make Kurt a symbol of Disney's family image. In 1981, Kurt voiced Copper the dog in The Fox and the Hound. The movie was about friendship and loss. Kurt gave Copper a soft, emotional voice, especially when Copper told Todd they couldn't be friends anymore. It was a big change from kicking Elvis. This was Kurt's last major Disney project. The movie marked the end of Disney's old animation era and the start of a new one. It was the last project by Disney's 9 old men and the first for future stars like Tim Burton and John Lasseter. The film took 6 extra months to finish due to behind-the-scenes drama, but Kurt's performance was strong. Kurt Russell, the kid who once kicked Elvis, later became Elvis. In 1979, a year and a half after Elvis died, Kurt played him in a TV movie directed by John Carpenter. It aired on February 11th and beat Gone with the Wind, and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest in ratings. That night, it was the 6th most watched show in America. Kurt didn't just act like Elvis, he was Elvis. He earned an Emmy nomination and showed Hollywood he was more than just a Disney star. The movie had a small budget of $2 to $4 million, but made a big impact. In Australia, a short version earned $350,000 in 3 weeks. What started as a tribute became a turning point. That turning point led to something bold. Snake Plissken, Escape from New York, came out on July 10, 1981. It cost $6 million and made over $25 million in the US, and more than $50 million worldwide. It was dark and gritty, very different from Disney, but people loved it. Snake, with his eye patch and tough attitude, became a cult hero. Kurt's deep voice and cool style made the role iconic. Critics praised the casting. 15 years later, Snake returned in Escape from LA. Kurt was no longer the sweet Disney star. He was now an action legend. Snake became a symbol of rebellion in movies. Kurt proved you didn't need a huge budget, just a good story and the right actor. But not every film was a hit. In 1982, Kurt and Carpenter teamed up again for The Thing. It had a $15 million budget, with $1.5 million spent on monster effects by Rob Bottin. On paper, it looked like a hit, but it flopped. The Thing came out just 2 weeks after E.T. While Spielberg's Alien hugged kids, Carpenter's Alien ripped people apart. Audiences weren't ready for it. The movie made only $19.6 million worldwide, just barely covering its budget. Critics didn't like it. They called it gory, cold, and cruel. One even said it had a terrible absence of love. Director John Carpenter was fired from his next project, and the failure nearly ruined his career. But over time, people began to understand the movie's message, its themes of fear, isolation, and tension. In today's darker world, it makes more sense. Now, The Thing is seen as a horror classic, but in 1982, it was just a misunderstood film that hurt the people who made it. Then came Big Trouble in Little China. It had everything: magic, martial arts, monsters, and humor. But the studio didn't know how to sell it. The budget was between $19 and $25 million, but it only made $11.1 million in North America. Another flop. But this time, the movie itself worked. Test audiences loved it. Early reactions were great. Still, the studio got it wrong. Fox focused all the marketing on Kurt Russell's character, Jack Burton, and ignored the film's true tone. Worst of all, they released it in summer 1986, right next to Aliens. It didn't stand a chance. Kurt and Carpenter later said the studio ruined the release, but home video saved the movie. People found it, loved it, and made it a cult classic. It showed that bad marketing can hurt a movie's box office, but not its legacy. By the early 1990s, Kurt Russell was more than a movie star. He was someone directors trusted. That makes the Tombstone story even more interesting. In 1993, the production started falling apart. The original director, Kevin Jarre, was fired 1 month into filming. George Paul Cosmatos replaced him, but some say Kurt Russell was really in charge. Insiders claim Kurt gave Cosmatos a list of shots to film each day. He quietly directed the movie without taking credit. Val Kilmer, who played Doc Holliday, said Kurt basically saved the film, and even made his own role smaller to help the story. Kurt never fully confirmed it, but he told Rolling Stone, "If I hadn't been there, Tombstone wouldn't have happened." That says a lot. Tombstone ended up making $56 million in the US and $73.2 million worldwide on a $25 million budget. It even beat Kevin Costner's Wyatt Earp in every way. If the rumors are true, it might be the most successful movie ever directed by someone who didn't get credit. Meanwhile, a real love story was unfolding behind the scenes. Kurt met actress Susan Hubley in 1978 while filming the TV movie Elvis. He played Elvis. She played Priscilla Presley. Their chemistry on screen became real. Within a year, they were engaged. They secretly married on March 17, 1979. To the public, they said they were just close friends. Kurt even joked that asking if they were in love was like asking if two plumbers fell in love over a toilet. It was his way to keep the press away. But in private, they were husband and wife. Susan Hubley already had a solid acting career. She starred in Lolly Madonna XXX 1973, later appeared in Escape from New York and Vice Squad. Their relationship moved fast, from meeting to marriage in about a year. What made it unique was their differences. Susan was a proud liberal who believed in astrology and Eastern ideas. Kurt was a strong conservative who didn't care about any of that. She once said they were so different, they couldn't even argue. They lived in separate cities. She stayed in Los Angeles, while Kurt lived in Aspen, Colorado. That was unusual back then. They knew the marriage wasn't perfect, but they stayed together and had a child. Then came February 1983. Everything changed. Kurt and Susan announced their separation. Just days later, Kurt ran into Goldie Hawn again. They had met briefly in 1966 on a movie set, but hadn't talked since. The timing was surprising. The same month his marriage ended. He began a new relationship that would last decades. Kurt later admitted he was hungover when he saw Goldie and told her, "Man, you've got a great figure." That was his pickup line. Somehow it worked. Their first date felt like a romantic comedy. Goldie didn't have the keys to her house, which was under construction, so they broke in, right in the middle of their romantic moment. The police arrived. They ended up going to a hotel. At the time, Kurt was still legally married, even though he and Susan had separated. It was messy, chaotic, and very Hollywood. Valentine's Day 1983 became the start of their real love story. They had dinner, went swing dancing, and returned to Goldie's half-built home. That night marked the beginning of a relationship that would last over 40 years. People wondered if their romance began before Kurt's marriage ended. No one knows for sure. But by the end of 1983, Kurt and Goldie had joined their families. Kurt brought his son Boston, born in 1980, with Susan. Goldie had 2 children from a previous marriage, Oliver, born 1976, and Kate, born 1979. Kurt later adopted both kids, even though their biological father, Bill Hudson, was still alive. The family grew quickly, and so did their fortune. By the mid-2000s, the Russell Hawn family was worth over $50 million. Then came Wyatt, born on July 10, 1986. He was Kurt and Goldie's only biological child together. His full name, Wyatt Hawn Russell, honored both parents. If Kurt and Goldie had married, she might have changed her last name, and that name moment might never have happened. Wyatt's birth wasn't just about family, it was about legacy. Today, Wyatt follows in their footsteps. He even starred with Kurt in Apple TV's Monarch, Legacy of Monsters. For all the drama, the most surprising part is this: Kurt and Goldie never got married. Not after 5 years. Not after 10. Not even after 40. Both had gone through tough divorces and made a choice. No wedding, no papers, just commitment. That decision may have saved them $10 to $20 million in possible divorce costs. Around 1993, they even asked their 4 kids if they should get married. All four said no. They liked things the way they were. Even more interesting was Goldie's math behind their happiness. She once said they spend exactly 68% of their time together. Not 70%. Not 50-50s. Exactly 68%. That's about 114 hours a week out of 168. It sounds strange, but it worked. That space gave Kurt time to fix up classic cars, and Goldie time to meditate and focus on wellness. It kept things fresh. In a world where over half of celebrity marriages end in divorce, Kurt and Goldie are the exception. Kurt Russell didn't just build a $110 million fortune. He built it piece by piece, through movies, real estate, flying planes, making wine, and collecting classic cars. His acting career alone earned about $70 million, from his early Disney roles to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Kurt built a long-lasting career. That Marvel role paid him $8 million alone. Even after stepping away from the spotlight, he still earns $2 to $4 million a year from royalties on Netflix, Disney Plus, and other platforms. Just from residuals, he brings in $250,000 to $400,000 each year. It's quiet, steady income. But his smartest move? Real estate. In 2004, Kurt and Goldie bought a 389 square foot home in Pacific Palisades for $4.12 million. By 2025, it was worth $6.90 million, a 67% return. The house wasn't just big, it was luxurious. It had a spa, pool, dry sauna, Pilates studio, and even a meditation space for Goldie. In 2018, they listed it for $7.25 million, proving they weren't just homeowners, they were smart investors. Their total real estate empire is now worth over $21.5 million. They own an $8.5 million mountain estate in Aspen, a $3.8 million loft in Manhattan, and a $2.3 million home in Vancouver. That Vancouver house wasn't just for vacations, it helped their son Wyatt's hockey career. From 2002 to 2005, they also bought a 1921 mansion in Vancouver's first Shaughnessy area to help Wyatt train. That home, originally built for $40,000, had 10 fireplaces and was once called the city's most handsome house. Then there's the wine. Kurt didn't just put his name on a bottle, he helped make the wine himself. He started Gogi Wines with a real vineyard team, not a big brand. He even slept on the winery couch to learn it all. Since launching in the late 2000s, Gogi has made $2 to $3 million in revenue. His 2012 Chardonnay, named Goldie, was a hit at food events and raised over $10,000 for charity. His car collection isn't huge, but it's impressive. One highlight, a 1934 Ford three-window coupe called Hot Licks. It has a supercharged 350C V8 engine, Recaro seats, and custom detailing. It's worth about $300,000. When it went to auction, all paperwork and photos were included. Proof Kurt treats collectibles as real investments. But Kurt's passions go beyond engines. He's also a licensed pilot. For nearly 30 years, he's flown planes like the Rockwell Commander Cessna 414 and even a Starduster biplane. Aviation runs in his blood. His grandfather was a test pilot for Howard Hughes. Flying wasn't just a hobby. Kurt worked with Wings of Hope, a charity that flies medical aid to remote areas in 10 countries. In 2019 alone, they helped nearly 73,000 people. Kurt isn't just a spokesperson, he's an honorary council member. Wings of Hope has been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize twice and has a top rating on Charity Navigator. It fits Kurt's values. He believes in action over talk. That shapes his politics too. In a 2015 interview, he surprised Hollywood by calling himself a hardcore libertarian. He studied the Founding Fathers' writings and went to Cato Institute events. He supports small government, free markets, and personal freedom. But he avoids preaching. In 2020, he said, "We are court jesters. We shouldn't tell people how to vote." Still, he doesn't stay quiet on everything. On guns, for example, he said in 2015, "If you think gun control is going to change a terrorist's mind, you're out of your mind." He owns guns, hunts, and strongly supports the Second Amendment. He said this even during the Obama years, when gun control was a hot topic. All of this, flying wine, cars, smart investments, and bold opinions, makes Kurt Russell one of the most unique stars in Hollywood. In 2009, He won the Aviation Mentor Award at the Living Legends of Aviation ceremony. The room had 1,000 guests, including Buzz Aldrin and Tom Cruise. In his speech, Kurt joked that President Obama needed to become a pilot. His son Wyatt Russell didn't plan to act at first. Born July 10, 1986, he chased a hockey career. But after injuries ended that path, he turned to acting. He didn't lean on his last name. He worked hard for every role, and it paid off. In 2021, Wyatt played John Walker in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier on Disney+. His character wasn't a typical hero. He wanted to be Captain America, but struggled with power. Wyatt nailed it. The performance brought global praise and secured his place in the Marvel world. He returned in Thunderbolts in 2025, and that film made $372 million worldwide. Not bad for a guy who started in skates, not a cape. Wyatt is honest about his privilege. In a 2025 interview, he said, "People talk about Nepo babies, and you're like, is it 1,000 times easier? F1, yeah. Are you kidding me? It's 1,000,000 times easier." But critics agree, he's more than a famous last name. He has real talent. Even Steven Spielberg is calling. Wyatt is now working on a top-secret sci-fi movie and will appear in Avengers Doomsday. His future looks unstoppable. Of course, the Russell Hahn legacy runs deep. Kurt didn't just raise Wyatt. He became a father to Kate Hudson, too. Kate was only 4 when Kurt entered her life. Her real dad, Bill Hudson, faded from the picture after divorcing Goldie in 1982. Kurt stepped in. Kate made that clear in 2004 when she named her son Ryder Russell Robinson. The Russell was a tribute. She's spoken openly about what Kurt meant to her. On the Howard Stern show, she said, "When you have a father like Kurt who's been there for the hard stuff, the trust I got from him was priceless." But Kate wanted to succeed on her own. When she was 16, Kurt offered her a role in Escape from LA. She turned it down, not because she didn't want to act, but because she didn't want people saying she got it because of him. She said, "Do I want to be known as Kurt's daughter who landed this role? No." That showed how serious she was. Years later, they finally worked together in Deepwater Horizon in 2020. For Kate, it wasn't just a movie. It was a full-circle moment. It reminded her why she loved acting in the first place. On Father's Day 2023, she posted a message that said it all. She called Kurt Pa and wrote, "He has taught me that we can all exist with immense love through our differences." But Kurt Russell's story isn't just about acting or parenting. At 74, he's still flying. It's not a hobby for him, it's a passion. He's been a licensed pilot since 1988 and holds FAA licenses for both single and multi-engine aircraft, plus instrument ratings. He learned from the best. His grandfather logged 45,000 flight hours, was a test pilot for Howard Hughes, and a senior check captain for TWA. Kurt has flown many planes, Rockwell Commander, Cessna Crusader, and even a sleek Piaggio Avanti 180. But his favorite is his Starduster biplane. He still flies often and takes it seriously. Even when it's not required, he flies under instrument rules to stay sharp. He once said, "Flying has taught me more about who I really am than anything I've ever done. I take very calculated risks. I've done too many stunts on too many movies and television shows to be a daredevil." In 2021, he joined One Flight International, a private aviation service. He liked that it offered access to over 75 aircraft with just a 10-hour call-out time. That kind of control fits a man who values preparation. His contributions to aviation have been recognized. He received the Aviation Mentor Award and serves on the board of Wings of Hope, the group that brings medical help to remote places.